Hello, welcome to the Mostly Mike Show. When I introduced my Coleman CT200u EX, which I named Trailforce 1 a few months back, I promised to do some upgrade videos in the future, and as you might have already seen, I delivered on that promise. If not, you should check out my binge-worthy playlist of Trailforce 1 videos. In this video, we're going to lower the gearing on Trailforce 1. Now, I've been using Trailforce 1 a fair amount recently to clean up some trees that dropped across my trails. I noticed that it's lacking power on some of the steeper sections of trail, at no fault of the machine itself. After all, it really wasn't designed to carry this much weight. This little climb is what I call Hemorrhoid Hill, at least going up it. Wait, that didn't sound right. Anyhow, I call it this because it's a real pain in the ass to climb unless you have like 9,000 horsepower. The GoPro does this hill no justice for how steep it really is. Observe how Trailforce 1 struggles even with me assisting it Flintstone style. There's a few ways that we can attack this problem. I could get a more powerful motor. Too costly as long as the factory motor doesn't need replaced. I could lose weight. Well, it definitely wouldn't hurt, and noted, but it's going to take more than that to make this thing rip up the hills without breaking the bank. Lowering the gears by way of replacing the rear sprocket with a bigger one that has more teeth is by far the cheapest and easiest way to get more bottom-end torque out of your mini bike. In this case, I'm replacing the stock 50 tooth with a 60 tooth, on paper resulting in almost a 17% increase in torque, with an equal and opposite decrease in top speed. There was a 72 tooth sprocket available, but other videos mentioned that it makes the bike a little bit too punchy out of the hole. So I ordered this pie plate 60 tooth from Amazon for around 35 or so bucks. There were cheaper options out there, but I liked the design with the cutouts like this one has, and that comes at a price. Believe me, this sprocket is almost as big as the wheel, so the cutouts help big time when you need to get a wrench in back for installation. You're likely going to need a slightly longer chain, depending on how much adjustment your bike has left. The chain is sized at 420. No, not that 420. I'll be sure to add Amazon links below. Clicking these links and making any purchase really helps this channel out at no cost to you. I'll start by getting the rear wheel off the ground and placing a block under the frame, which I'll include the link for my video for the maintenance stand if you'd like to make one of these handy devices. Now I'm going to remove the master link and chain, and for the next part, if you have an impact driver with nut driver bits, it's helpful but not necessary. I'll remove the 4 sprocket nuts and bolts while the wheel is intact. I'll then remove the rear axle nuts on the left side of the bike, keeping track of the order of the spacers. The nut's 19mm. Bolt head on the opposite side is 17mm. We're going to loosen our axle nut, run the axle in just far enough to get the sprocket on. And beware, there are pieces that can fall. Kind of get a good idea of what the order is. You only need to pull the axle out a couple inches. Yeah, that's what she said. My rear rack installation video goes pretty much in depth on all this, so you might want to check it out. There should be a link at the top of the screen and the description below. Naturally, the sprocket can be easily removed at this point. Be very careful with the new sprocket because it has some razor-sharp edges left from the machining process. I would highly recommend deburring these edges with a file or a deburring tool. This can prevent incisions or lacerations while installing, cleaning, adjusting, or doing field repairs. Oh, it's cold on the knees. Like 19 degrees out. I'll include links below. And here we have our new sprocket. Of course, where it gives the tooth number and stuff, I'm going to put that facing outward. Get it kind of held in place. I'm going to start working the bolt through. And got our couple spacers here. Add those. And then just work the bolt the rest of the way through all your bushings. You got a chain tensioner here. You might have to grab the tire and wiggle it a little bit. There. Start the nut back on. And I'm not going to tighten that completely just yet. Now we're ready to put our sprocket retaining bolts in. And as I said earlier, the holes are advantageous because these nuts go in the back. You can start your bolts through. This is pretty obvious. After you get the first one through, everything should line up pretty good. Kind of work these nuts onto the back side. And repeat with the rest. Of course, the chain needs installed and tensioned. My rear rack installation video goes in depth with chain tensioning. Be sure to check out the link in the description below. Now let's go see how it does on Hemorrhoid Hill. One of the first things that I noticed testing this mod was when I let off the throttle that there was some considerable engine braking going on. which seems kind of helpful at times. I also noticed that I can gun it, pull the front wheel up, and spin it around on a dime. And here we are at the butt of Hemorrhoid Hill. Let's see how she rips. I love Hemorrhoid Hill jokes. While the Sprocket was a huge improvement, you can see that I still had to resort to the Flintstone technique briefly toward the top of the climb. Now in Trail Force 1's defense, it had recently rained and the tires spun in the mud, which could have affected momentum. Overall, I would say the 60-tooth Sprocket is a success, and I would highly recommend picking one up. I will be adding a torque converter soon. Subscribe to stay in the loop and be the first to see that video when it's made public. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.